involved in Ascension and how old you were when you came here and so forth.
So we moved here when I was about 6 years old, and initially, it's my understanding, we went to St. Gregory's probably for months, not years, and Ascension formed. And so I started going here because the church was formed and we were told to come here. So that's what you did in the day, right? So our family came here. I'm the oldest of four. And I'm trying to think, I remember meeting at Kempsville Presbyterian Church. Actually not where it is now. It used to be located where the library is. And so met there on Saturday nights. I received my first communion at Kempsville Presbyterian Church, not in this building. And we also met at Kempsville Elementary School, I believe. So that's how long ago I started here.
Okay. And was there a youth program going from the beginning?
No, there was not.
Okay, so tell us about the beginning of the youth program and how you got involved in that.
Well, so the youth program, I have to think back on it. I know that I was involved with religious education here, so CCD at the time. We used to meet in people's homes. And then when we entered confirmation, I remember the meetings being here, actually up on the mezzanine. We didn't have the conference room, we didn't have the youth room, so our meeting was up on the mezzanine. And I can't recall if at that point we had a youth group yet or not, but the diocese had some different retreats the youth could take part in, and I took part in a couple of those, which kind of, really caught me on fire, I guess. I came back here to the church, and I know the Constans, Edna and Tony, had a daughter who's about a year younger than I am, maybe 2, and they really wanted a youth group here, and it's my understanding they fought to have it, and they were told fine, but they'd have to be the adult leadership. So they stepped up and did that, and I was really excited when that started. We started having just, people gathering together to see who was interested. Tom Iannucci, who is now Father Tom Iannucci, was actually the first youth president of the youth group, and I was on that board of people. I remember doing projects around here at the church, like some gardening and some things like that. I remember making some things that we tried to sell to earn money for the youth group. Sometimes we'd meet here. We met at the Constans home. I believe there was a camping trip, but I don't recall that I went on that. I know that they talk about the camping trip, but I don't remember that. So I was involved from that aspect with the youth group, but also confirmation was very big is the wrong word at the time, but there was a big group of us that were being confirmed at the time. And we had almost weekly meetings on Sundays, and we had adult sponsors. And really just between the youth group and confirmation, I made a lot of friends who had Christ at the center of their life, or we were at least trying to as teens to do so, right? And I recall just making just some really good friendships and having people that you could talk to. And most of us went to different schools, so we didn't see each other during the week. We would only see each other here at meetings and things that were going on at the church.
Tell us about how that had an impact on your life. Was that kind of impact sustained through your young adulthood?
Absolutely not. That's hard to say out loud. So when I went to college, I attended ODU, so I was local, but I actually lived on campus. I did not go to church a whole lot, a bit. But I think what it did for me was it gave me a really good faith base, and it gave me a really good moral background. So I knew right from wrong. Whether I always did right, that's another story, but I knew right from wrong. And I always joke with people that being from Ascension, I grew up in the feel-good period. God loves you, you love God, and that's all we needed to know. And so I listen to people who say, the roof's going to fall in if I go back to church. I never felt like that. I knew that I was always welcomed back at church. So it had an impact there. As I said, I went to ODU. I actually initially went for something totally different than I majored in, but I ended up majoring in business and computers. But I would take classes like philosophy of religion just because I was interested in that. So I guess the growing up here impacted that.
Now that you're involved in church administration now, and you know, you went through the youth program, explain how youth ministry is important to the church.
So I would say one of the things I remember about the youth group being formed here was that it was kind of a validation that as teens we were important to the church, to the people here, and that we had something to offer. So I think that's still true. I think by having some different curriculums and different activities that focus on the youth, it lets them know that they're important. Yes, they're our future, but they need to know that they're important now, that they're valued now, that they have things that they can do for the church now. And whether that's helping with gardening or whether that's, you know, having been confirmed and becoming a Eucharistic minister or a lector, doesn't really matter. You just, you know, if you feel you belong and you can offer something, then you always have something to come back to if you do go away.
Just go ahead and talk about what you were going to say.
So being part of the youth group, it did impact my life, but I know it impacted other people's lives. I mentioned Father Tom Iannucci. Obviously, he became a priest. Maybe some of that was from the youth group involvement here, and some of it was from encouragement from different people who were in his life, of course. But we had a lot of other people that were in our youth group or have been in the youth group here at Ascension that really have moved forward in ministry within the church. So I work in the business office. I'm not necessarily in formation or anything like that, but that doesn't mean I can't help out with that. Richard Mom grew up at about the same time I did. I think he's my same age. He worked within the Diocese of Richmond for a while, worked at a church here in the diocese, but he's at another diocese now working in formation. If you look at our youth group in the years since I've been an adult, right, we've had many people come out of our youth group that have been youth ministers here. We have several people who have gone on to priesthood. We have a lot of people who are just in lay ministry. So I think that it's had a big impact on letting us know that we can be a big part of the church no matter what.